is the Action 5 DJI. So same system and everything as the Osmo Pocket 3.
I saw you were holding that.
Yeah, I have that too. But I like shooting with this one better sometimes. Like if I'm doing something like this where I want more of an angle, I use this one.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Please briefly introduce yourself to people watching.
So I'm Jared, also known as Jay the BCBA on YouTube and Instagram. Board Certified Behavior Analyst. I've been in the field for over a decade. Also a PhD candidate, and a dad.
Can you talk to me about your upbringing in the States a bit? What triggered you to want to move to Africa, or what circumstances brought you to that decision?
So I grew up in what you would call kind of an immigrant household where we talked a lot about other countries, and we talked a lot about like how we migrated to Canada. My grandpa would tell me stories about how he kind of jumped off the ship in the United States and lived there illegally for a while before he became a doctor. And growing up that way, being exposed to the immigrant lifestyle and other groups of people from Barbados, people from Trinidad, I always had that desire to go somewhere else. So I joined the military. I went somewhere else. I went to a couple of different places. But I got out of the military, I got my master's degree and started practicing. And then that yearning to go somewhere else started to come up again. So I started to travel to places like the DR, to Colombia, places that were 2-hour flights from America. When I did so, I didn't really get what I was desiring. So I came over here to Kenya. The first time I came was in 2022 or so. As soon as I got off the plane, Karibu, Kenya, and I just kind of felt at home. I kind of felt welcomed, and I just fell in love with the culture, not only the culture, but like the food, the people, everything. So that kind of drew me back to come back here. I started thinking about in my mind in 2022, how can I make it to where I could travel wherever I want, but specifically to Kenya? And that's what I started working on back in the States, and now I'm back here.
You tuned the angle a bit, but you can still, normally you might tripod here. You have a tripod?
One that could fit that, let me see. The bottom one?
It's just this is the thing.
Oh no, I don't have one out there.
This how it is. It's just screw.
No, shit. I do have one at home though, like in the US.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Can you pretend as if I'm sitting here?
Okay.
Can that be possible?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, give me one.
All right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, and go. So, if I can, and what were you?
Racism, running away from the norm, doing the same thing over and over again every day. Running away from being treated as if I was just a cog in the machine, or like a person, another guy. I guess I was running away from that. Running towards feeling welcome, running towards feeling as if my work was desired, running towards the feeling of community and being able to see people that look like me everywhere I look, rather than seeing people that, didn't necessarily like me, or feeling like people didn't like me because of the color of my skin. I feel called to...
So for this part, it would be great if you can...
Repeat what?
The question. So you'd be like, do I feel called to Africa? Then
Okay.
It's really good for the documentary when we there. So I'll ask it again. I see some number. It's still recording, right? You'll go, bro.
Yeah, it's still recording.
3, 2, 1, and do you feel called to Africa?
Do I feel called to Africa? Yes, I definitely feel called to Africa because this is where I'm supposed to be. I kind of feel the same way when I go to Barbados, my native country, but especially here in Africa, I feel that there is a need and a desire for people that think the way that I think. So yes, I feel called to Africa.
3, 2, 1, and go ahead. So why didn't you choose a country like Ghana, South Africa, and decided to go with Kenya? What influenced that decision?
Ghana's kind of like Atlanta, to where there's a lot of things similar to Atlanta, where you go to like a club and then people are like sitting in sections and no one's talking to each other and stuff like that. And people are kind of a little bit more bougie, quote unquote, than like a place like Nairobi. I would say South Africa is kind of the same. South Africa, I would call South Africa like the hub of like Americanized Africans, kind of. When I went to South Africa, it kind of felt, once again, like I was in America, but kind of the things that I don't really like about America, right? Like the people who don't really want to talk to you, or if they do talk to you, is kind of like, it feels like they're being bothered by you. People feel not as welcoming there. I love South Africa though. I think it didn't feel as home as Nairobi does. Same thing kind of with Ghana. I think too, Ghana is kind of oversaturated with Black people coming from America. And for me, I'm kind of a contrarian to where I want to do something that not everybody else is doing. So that's another reason why as well.
You ended it already?
Yeah. Yeah, I said that was kind of the reason why as well.
Oh, okay. Not bad. I'm not hearing you very clearly. Let's do a mic test.
Check.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit louder?
Check, check.
One more time.
Check, check, check.
Let's talk about your day-to-day life. How's a day in your life here in Kenya looks like?
Yeah, so a day in my life in Kenya is kind of like, I wake up at about 8 or so, cook breakfast, hang out, look at the monkeys outside of my window, get ready for the day, do my laundry in the morning maybe. I may get a phone call that I need to take, but you have to take into account too, it's 8-hour difference between here and the United States where I work primarily. So the meetings that I'm able to take or the things I'm able to do that early in the morning, or so 8 a.m. would be 12 a.m. back in the States. It's kind of limited, but I could respond to emails. I could look and see if I missed anything from the previous day. I can kind of hang out for that time. So I eat breakfast, so get to the gym, do some vlogging, hang out, go to a place called Nairobi Street Kitchen, which I'm partnering with them pretty soon, and they have great food. Hang out there, maybe take a meeting. Yesterday I had a meeting for a personal assistant, so that's the one that I'm gonna bring on to kind of help me with my paperwork. And then after that, maybe order some food, or last night even I went to my friend Trey's house. He lives over in Kilimani, so I just took an Uber right over to his house, and then he cooked like some pasta and stuff, hung out over there for a little bit and came back and, you know, just chilled.
Is your life any different from what you used to do in the US, like your day-to-day comparison to Kenya, and what did that feel like and how do you feel now?
So my life in comparison to the US is much different because I don't have the luxuries and the things that I could do here. Like I can't walk to the gym in the US, I have to get in a car. Or I don't have, surprisingly, in the US, I was there for 30 years or so, and I have much more friends in Nairobi than I did there. So that's very interesting. Here I hang out pretty much anytime I want to with any friend I want to. I have a ton of friends here, and that is just kind of the nature of Nairobi, just kind of make friends. It was much more taxing on me mentally. I will still do the same thing as far as working out, as far as doing my supervision. All of those things would be the same. It was just, I didn't have as much as a social life in the US that I do here in Nairobi.
All right, 3, 2,
1, okay, let's talk about the traffic. Let's talk about the cars. When they're driving in the US, if somebody cuts you off, they're gonna curse you out, they're gonna scream at you, they're gonna yell, they might throw something at you, they might pull out a gun on you. Here, if somebody cuts you off, they're just like, all right. They don't even say anything. It's like they're not even mad about it. So that surprises me still to this day when I'm in Ubers, things of that nature. So that still kind of surprises me how much they will allow you to like come into their space and welcome you with open arms. And some other things that surprise me about Kenyans is how hardworking they are. They're very hardworking, and they're very intelligent as well. Talking about my personal assistant a little bit earlier, she's very intelligent, but she can't really find a job. And I found an opportunity through my conference that I did, and she helped me plan it and everything, to hire her as my personal assistant because she's so intelligent. She does everything the right way. She's trustworthy. You know, she knows how to do all of my systems. So the intelligence, the hardworking nature of them. Some other things is sometimes they can be, the men I would say, sometimes can be a bit rude if they feel as if you are like talking to their women or something like that. So that's one thing. So say for instance, I'm out with like a group of my friends, maybe, you know, like a couple of people, Bobby or Austin, or whatever the case is, or Trey. And then we're just hanging out at a place called Gecko, and maybe, you know, things happen sometimes, and maybe we might start talking to people that we don't really know that well. And the guys are just kind of looking at us like, what are those guys? You know, those guys think you can kind of feel the vibes that they just don't really like what's going on. So that's kind of surprising as well.
Can you talk to me about your first impression of Kenya?
So my first impression of Kenya was that it was very underdeveloped. The trash was terrible. I'm a person who's been to Japan, You can go to Japan and be there for a year and not see one speck of trash on the floor. So the trash on the floor, things of that nature. It was kind of a culture shock when I first got here. Then as I, like week 3 or 4, I started to kind of get used to it and started to realize the way that they were. So that first impression changed over time, but initially it was culture shock and the fact that the infrastructure was not great.
What was your misconception about Kenya before you started to check it out? And was it true or not?
My misconception about Kenya was that it was a place where people were poor, people were hungry, people were just starving, and that's the Western media feeding that to me, right, for 30 years. So for 30 years, Africa is this, Africa is that. Africa only has these starving children that we put on the screen for you to feed. So you start to feel like that, feel like Africa as a whole is that. And then once you get here, the people's intelligence, they're completely brilliant people when it comes to people being wealthy or not. If you walk down my neighborhood right here, you'll see Mercedes, all type of different vehicles. Not only that, you'll see very nice cars, you'll see people who are affluent. And then as well as like the cultural aspects of things. Like everybody doesn't know how to speak English in Africa. That's another thing that kind of westernized media pushes to you, that people here speak some type of African tongue. And that's not true either. People here speak great English.
What were some of the things your family and friends said to you when you made it very clear to them that you are considering moving to Africa?
My family and friends thought that I was crazy when I told them I wanted to do this. They didn't necessarily say that outright, but I could pick up the vibes. And I'm a behavior analyst, so I'm kind of paid to do that. So, and they would kind of tell me things like, why are you doing that? Why are you going there? What's so special about there? But once again, the Western media teaches us a certain narrative about Africa that's not true. So I don't blame them for that. They think that I'm out here living in a hut and there's AIDS everywhere around me. But obviously that's not true. And so when I explain that to them, when I explain why I want to move here, and then I put up on my YouTube channel like different things that I do here, now it starts to open up their mind a bit, and now they kind of understand it, right? So my friends and family definitely weren't open-minded to it at first, but now they definitely are becoming more open-minded to it. And I don't care if they are or not, to be honest.
Can we dive into your personal relationship? Yeah? Because you mentioned Austin. I want to just ask you some pretty straightforward question.
Okay.
You did mention about Austin Holland. He's one of the African Americans who have gotten a lot of media.
Yeah.
A lot of people have questioned him. Is he a passport bro? And does he travel just, take advantage of women? And I mean, you're hanging out with him. Are you single yourself? Have you been dating? And what do you think of Austin Holland?
Yeah, so myself, I'm single. And I'm a guy who has a daughter, so I'm very respectful to women, but things that I would for sure say that it's a good thing to do. Like as far as him bringing people here from America, bringing guys from America, he's planning to open up things that have to do with the diaspora and things of that nature. So he's trying to use his clout, so to speak, for good. And another guy that I hang out with, an attorney, he's also doing the same thing. So those guys are doing good stuff. I think that the media will try to say that people like him or people like me are traveling for sex tourism and things of that nature because it's something that will get clicks, right? Like that's something that you'll click on, but they want to be somewhere where we can come and hang out and feel free. And also the women here are beautiful. So, I mean, whatever he does with the women, that's his business. But everything I've ever seen him do, and I've been around him a lot, was ethical.
I like that. Now, you seem to see the differences between the women here compared to America. What was your personal observation between these two types?
The women here are more feminine. The women in America are more brash, more aggressive, more masculine, generally speaking, the black women. And I'm a guy who's only dated black women, so I can kind of speak from that experience. And from my experience in Kenya, the women are very feminine. They let you lead. They're very, hey, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? Those are the type of women who are here. And in my opinion, it's more advantageous for a man to be with a woman like that rather than a woman who is going to try to press you and be aggressive towards you in every situation that you're in. Not saying that American women are like that in every situation. Obviously, not every American woman is like that. My point is, more women, Black women, are like that in America than are not. And then here, it's kind of the opposite, to where you feel as if you're really with a feminine woman who wants to be feminine with you. So that's what I would say the difference is in my experience, in my opinion.
I like that. Thank you. All right, we rest a bit, and then when we get back, we will talk about cost of living, income, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how many businesses are you running simultaneously?
Two.
Two.
Yeah. One is very small, the other one is, I have 15.
Okay, that's not small. Okay, can we speak on that a bit? If you don't mind sharing revenues, annual revenue you're making in the US when you're living there full time, is that still going on? How do you sustain yourself here? Do you have like cash flow, passive income coming from the States? How much you spend on food, groceries, and stuff?
Okay. That last clip is gonna be something.
I remember I interviewed Austin when he was in Ghana, and I had people send me messages, how would you interview somebody like that? I'm like,
I don't see nothing wrong with the guy.
I didn't know him first. It was just, I was getting a lot of DMs interviewing him. I'm like, who is he? So for me, my team put everything, together. I sent him everything. He showed up to one of the studios and we did the whole interview. And it was very interesting conversation. I didn't see anything wrong, but then after the interview was published, I was just getting messages. Why would we interview somebody like that? He's into sex tourism. I still have someone who called me on the phone. I love your show, but I'm very disappointed in you just because of one thing. I'm like, what? The gentleman called.
They don't like his ass. A lot of people don't like him for some reason.
He knows how to stay out of Washington people.
Yeah. I think he does it on purpose.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, with YouTube, if you know how to manipulate you into that. Yeah.
It's just for me, I can't do that because of my line of. It sounds great, but I could easily be I'm underneath the board, so the board could kick me out if they wanted to, right? So. Yeah.
We're done now. Working.
Okay.
You work out today, alright?
Not yet.
You have a video of you working out.
Huh?
You have a video of you working out.
Kind of, but I was gonna go later. Yeah.
Sure. Alright, so give practical advice for people considering relocating to Kenya, Africa in general.
So my practical advice for people to relocate to Kenya is understand your financial situation. Don't lie to yourself. If you're not good with money, do not come to Africa, because here you're not gonna be able to make money right away. I don't care who you are. If you're O'Shea Duke Jackson and you come here and you have 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, you may or may not be able to make a living here. O'Shea Duke Jackson has planted his flag, has been here for a long period of time, and he's able to do a different place to do things. It's different than the United States. The things do not work the same. So really understand that you need to have a good amount of money saved up. I would say, let's say 10 grand. And then you need to have at least 5 coming in a month. If you do not have an income, do not come to Africa for a long period of time. Because if you come to Africa and you do not have an income, you're not going to make the same amount of money right away. And it's probably gonna take you at least 5 years to make a good amount of money here. So I would say to really understand that money aspect of things, because if not, you're just gonna end up going back to America and you're gonna be broke.
I like that. Now let me ask you this.
What I wish I knew before moving to Kenya was what I just said about the how difficult things are to get done here, kind of opportunistic. The same thing in the United States, but it's different here, right? Because you are a US citizen, they will be opportunistic against you and try to take advantage of you in pretty much every turn. I was scammed from an attorney. He wasn't an attorney. I paid him, and then come to find out that 200,000 shillings that I paid him just kind of went up poof in the air, and he didn't do anything I asked him to do because he was a fake attorney. So getting scammed and things of that nature is it kind of comes with going somewhere like a Kenya, like a Ghana, like a South Africa, because they know the lay of the land and you don't. And then if you try to just come here and act like you do, they will scam you.
Interesting. How do you find housing, healthcare, and transportation system?
In Kenya, honestly, I was thinking about this the other day. They really have a pretty good bus system here. The matatus are pretty chill. They're pretty good. The music they play is pretty fun and stuff. They drive crazy though. I don't know if you've seen them like in CBD. They will run you over. But the bus system is constantly flowing, and people are able to get around for like 50 shillings per day from here to, let's say, all the way up in Riru. So you can get from here to like 20 what would that be, like 20, 30 miles or so for 50 shillings, which is pretty good. So I think the bus system here is pretty good. The transportation system, as far as the cars and everything, people drive like they want to wreck your car here. So I would be aware of that. Like, I've driven here as well, and I've driven in Barbados, I've driven in different places where the steering wheel is on the opposite side of the United States. So for me, it wasn't as difficult. But here specifically, they will drive as if they want to run into your vehicle. So I would be aware of that and like try to, get the hang of things before you just jump in the car and start driving. So with the healthcare system, I had a friend who went to the doctor the other day and he had really bad food poisoning, and they were able to help him out relatively cheaply, like under $50. Another friend of mine who's an attorney, he was telling me he had the flu, and again, it was like $50 to go and get the medicine that he needed, to get the IV of things that he needed. So the healthcare system seems really, really good here. And I was able to get my ADHD medicine. It was a little bit more expensive than back in the States, but mind you, I didn't have a prescription. It was like kind of under the table, like, here's your ADHD medicine because we see you have the bottle, so here you go. It was a little bit more, but still I was able to get it here as well. So I would say the healthcare system is working pretty well here in Nairobi. I would definitely move back to the US. I am kind of a rare person because you've heard me talk for this long about how much I love Kenya. I also love the US. There's great people in the US, there's great places in the US. And the main thing for me is there's great money in the US. So for me, my plan is to move back and forth, kind of doing that for a while, and then eventually moving overseas completely, probably in Nairobi, and then planting my flag here, and then maybe going back and forth from Nairobi to Barbados or something of that sort. So that's kind of my long-term plan, but I definitely will continue to go back and forth to the US because I still have money ties there that I want to make sure that I'm still keeping flowing.
If you were to send a message to your past self before you make the move to Africa, what would you say to yourself?
So if I were to send a message to my past self before I moved to Africa about what I would do now, like a message that I would give him was just let things happen and don't rush into things. I think that ambition that we have growing up in the United States is something that exists pretty much only in the United States, right? Like the thought that you can do whatever you want to do and everything is possible. It's kind of something that is exclusive to the United States, because other countries, you have to do a lot of different things in order to have the same success as you do in the United States. Like, for example, like building a YouTube channel like you've done is probably much more difficult from Ghana or wherever, you did your videos than it is from the United States. Things are a lot easier, systems a lot better. So I would say slow down, know that you're not in the US anymore, and kind of tamper your expectations a little bit.
Where do you see yourself?
In the next 5 years, I see myself owning multiple clinics in different countries, still one in the United States, and then hopefully one here in Kenya, and then working on one in my native country of Barbados, moving back and forth primarily to Barbados and Kenya rather than the United States, trying to get kind of away from the United States, from going back and forth there, but keeping my ties there as far as my real estate property I have there, and then the clinic.
If you do have any final message to the people watching you, what would that message be?
So my final message I would have for you all is do what you want to do. Like I was talking about earlier, don't care what your family or friends are saying about you, because they can't live your life for you. What you eat does not make them poop. So don't worry about people's opinions. Go out there, do what you want to do. And if it is to move to Nairobi, Kenya, if it is to move to Accra, Ghana, if it is to move to Johannesburg, South Africa, do that. Do what makes you happy, and do not take people's opinions. Do not care about what people say about you. Just control the controllables and move forward and do the best that you can in your life.
How do people find you?
So people can find me on YouTube, Jay the Behavior Analyst, or Jay the BCBA on Instagram, and it's called BCBA. So Jay the BCBA, and then Jay the Behavior Analyst on YouTube as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a good interview.
Thank you. I think it was pretty good. I'm hard on myself, so I don't know.
They don't speak English. Try some.
What are you doing?
Before you know it, your phone is gone.
Not by a monkey, but by
I was watching some videos on TikTok, and you see some people using in the car so that those snatching the phone.
Yeah.
it would shock them.
Yeah,
Well, I was
had it.
like, yeah,
It was
yeah.
very good.
Primary school.